Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, July 25th, 2018. I am your host, the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Zach, and on the panel this week, filling in for Nick Mumley. Let's get the mothballs off. My old friend, Jim Fitzgerald, and on my far right, even my older friend for about 40 years, the Duke.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start the show about weather, Lake Champlain. Of course, I read my messenger, and Richard Carpethwaite kind of steals my thunder because he's got all the statistics. But went swimming yesterday, and it's just mind-boggling every time I go to the lake how much lower it appears. Oh. And when I drove by St. Albans Bay, I mean, that is real beachfront property, and grotesque would be an understatement, the way that beach looks. And, you know, I mean, that's been a 100-year-old story about the quality of the water, but it looked horrible. So I got down to my place, and it was actually pretty decent. There was a breeze yesterday, a current, and actually cooled the water down a little bit.
I swam at Kilcare today. I swam at Kilcare about noon. It was, really rough, but the water was fine.
But reading that article, and I think it was you, Duke, that told me November of 2016, Hawk, you can walk from the point
even
to
before
Mosquito
then.
Island. So I said, well, I don't do all that much in November, so I drove down there by myself, walked over there, and he wasn't kidding. Not only could you walk there, it was almost like a 2-lane highway. I mean, it was incredible. I went home, told my wife, I said, you really need to come down here tomorrow, check this out. It was just mind-boggling. Of course, I always make my statements that I'm kind of half wrong. I said to my wife, Donna, you'll never see this again. Ever again in your life. This is at best, a generational thing. So now I'm thinking it's going to occur again. Now, Duke, you can pick up on the stats, but I believe you said we're at 2.7 feet lower lake level this year compared to last year?
Yeah, but I have stats right here. We're at about 94 point, again, this is probably yesterday's data, but things haven't changed much. 94.75 or so, about exactly the same as 2 years ago when indeed we did some walking between Kilcare and Mosquito. We're down from last year about 2.7 feet lower than last year, but we're right where we were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Again, the forecast, and again, tough forecast, localized conditions, but how many we've been hearing about rain for days. It sounds like tonight, boy, if there's not rain here tonight, I mean, these guys have zero credibility. It sounds like there's rain about coming across the lake almost as we speak, but still.
I hope so.
In fact, I swam at Kilcare today and purposely looked at the sandbar. You can pretty much see the sandbar. You can't walk. It's underwater, but it's not under much water. And in fact, going back 2 years, again, we're right where we were 2 years ago, about 94.7. We got down to it bottomed out at about 93.4. So we're just about 1.3 feet higher than 2 years ago when we were easily walking. So we're talking just inches. You can see the sandbar.
That's crazy.
It's just barely
I
underwater.
haven't been down.
You know, and again, Duke,
So yeah, we may be doing some more walking in a few in a
harkening
week
back
or
to
so.
my statement when I told my wife,
Yeah.
you'll never see this again.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years later, you'll probably see it. I was at
You
the
might see
Alberg Sand Dunes last week,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen that much beach there in eons.
Is that
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it's just been crazy. And I know a lot of people complain about mowing their lawn, but I don't mind mowing my lawn. I just put my MP3, listen to my music when music was great during the 60s and 70s. And very relaxing to me. I always took pride in a nice looking lawn, and the smell of a fresh cut lawn is just terrific.
It's brown.
You know, and I go over to my folks and mow their lawn.
Yes.
And it's good exercise, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, you know, and I was telling people, I wish I could say my lawn was brown, but it's turned white. I mean, it's just,
It's terrible.
and
Yeah, pretty tough summer.
and not only that, the bugs on your
Oh.
windshield. I
Oh.
mean, you can't even scrape them off at the gas station. You need a hard downpour, long downpour to get that off.
But again, what's
For a
funny,
lot
if
of
you look at
reasons.
Burlington data, Burlington, as of today, is just about a half inch below its year average And if we, in fact, finally get some rain tonight, they might even catch up to it.
Yeah.
So again, misleading. Again, a lot of that
storms have
was
been all
earlier
around this
precip.
country.
Yeah, again, it's very
North,
localized
south,
stuff.
yeah.
So Duke, you said we were at 93.4 a couple years ago. Can you put that in comparison to about a decade ago when we had the record high?
Oh, sure. Record high, yeah, 2011, record high and all-time record high. And again, Burlington's weather records go back about 135 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Lake Champlain's exactly there, but the record high in 2011, 103.27 in Burlington.
So essentially
we're down almost 10.
a 10-foot difference.
Whoa.
We're down right
boy.
now about
That's
nine
mind-boggling.
feet from that record high.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
a lot of feet.
that's lots of feet.
And again, what I should have mentioned, again, we peaked out in the spring right at flood stage, right at like 100, just over 100 feet. So we're down, again, over 5 feet since early May.
And not only that, Fitz,
2.5 months.
the heat.
Of course, the heat comes into
golfing,
play big time.
I mean,
Yes.
I played yesterday, and there was a breeze. And I told my buddy Joe Whittemore, at least it's playable. But the black bugs are out this year like I have never seen. You're ready to drive, and you got a, I don't know if they're miniature black fly, but they boink you right in the eye.
Oh, yes.
And you're putting, and you have a school of them right around your face. And I have never, ever experienced that.
And Hawk, I mentioned Sunday when we were playing. Yeah, I mean they're torturous, but I'm not seeing those guys. Are they just hanging out at Champlain?
Just at the
Country
Champlain
Club?
Country Club.
What's the story with
Absolutely.
that? I'm not seeing those guys.
They're not at my
not that
place.
bad at
They're not at the
Bakersfield.
lake.
That's
but
weird.
Bakersfield is less than normal.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But geez, I can't tell you how many times I'm played. I just pulled my shirt off. Not a pleasant sight, but but the shirt is just so heavy with sweat, and it's just.
Talking about weather, one other stat, one of the TV guys mentioned this, but I guess so far Burlington, it wasn't today with the cloud cover, no 90 today, but I guess there have been 10 90s so far this month, one short of the July record, which was, I guess, 11, I think he said 1949 or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously the hot weather affecting
It's
the
been
lake
hot.
level big time with
And
the evaporation.
I have never used my air conditioner in my bedroom as much as I have this year. I mean, even last year or the year
haven't either.
before, I didn't even put it in.
Oh.
And it's like, I got to get home and escape to the bedroom. It's crazy. So, well, shall we talk sports, folks?
Sure.
Okay. So the Red Sox, very nice acquisition today.
Tell me about it. I know nothing.
The Red Sox acquired right-hand pitcher Nathan Eovaldi from the Rays for left-hand pitcher Jalen Beeks.
Oh, is that right?
Beeks came up briefly
And
early
guess
in
what?
the
We
year.
got a call.
Do we have a call? Okay, well, that's good. Good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hello. How we doing, guys?
We're
How you
doing
doing?
swell.
Good.
You got a pretty good-looking guy there sitting in the middle. I think I know him.
I think I know you.
How we doing, Fitz?
Good, thank you.
So, caller, that trade the Sox made today, I like it very, very, very much.
Why did Tampa? Is this Tampa saving a bunch of money on this? I assume.
He's a free agent after this year. I think his salary was only $3 million,
right.
so really isn't that much money. Jalen Beeks came up.
Beats is a good rookie.
Looks like a potential.
okay in
He had a
Pawtucket.
tough
Left-hander.
first
Got
start.
beat up, but this is great insurance for the Red Sox right here.
This guy's a starting pitcher.
Yes.
The
name's vaguely
He was on the
familiar to me.
Yankees previously. Did not pitch last year due to a
that's right.
Tommy John.
Huh.
But his ERA is 4.26, but his WHIP is impressive 0.98.
Really?
So I kind
That
of
is
question
impressive.
how with a WHIP
control
of
is good.
0.98,
That sounds
his
weird to
ERA
have an
probably should have
ERA
been under
that
3.
much.
Yeah.
But I think he's 28 years old and great insurance policy.
Yes, I mean especially with
the back
Eduardo.
rotation.
Who
He
knows
start-
when we're going to see
4 or 5
Eduardo
starter.
again?
Yeah, well,
he's
that's right. You're
starting.
not going to for a
he's
while.
starting on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah, that sounds
Is
like
he?
a very good
He's starting
pickup.
this
yeah,
Sunday?
starting Sunday.
Without sprain? Are you talking about, who are you talking about?
Eovaldi.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Eduardo.
I mentioned his injury has got
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Red Sox needed another body
Right,
for sure.
So
right.
Good
go-
pickup, Bobby, huh? Good pickup?
Yeah, I like him. His ERA was a little high because one of the games he pitched, like 7, 8 games ago, he only lasted a couple innings and gave up 8 runs.
Sounds like
And
Porcello,
he's
a couple
probably
starts
pitched
ago.
about 8 games this year, so obviously
Right.
it takes quite a few games to lower that ERA. And like Nighthawk said, WHIP is about 1, which means it's only a hit or a walk per inning,
yeah.
which is very, very good.
Yeah, it's
so
good.
what that says to me, he had one bad game, but he's got a very live arm, good strikeout pitcher, and boy, it still really bothers me with Erod out. So I hope this guy can step in and do somewhat of a good job. I'm sure he can. Now, Pomerantz, he scares me. I watched him pitch last night. Everything he throws is soft, and you've got to be spot on with those pitches to be effective. And he's a heck of a nice guy, but I am just not a big fan of his. So, we'll see what happens.
Had a good year
But,
last year, Bob.
Like
He
I
did
say,
have a very
Erod
good year
has
last
just
year.
been phenomenal this year.
Now, how long is
And,
he out for?
That
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? But
Talking our Rodriguez, Hawk?
Yeah.
Boy, it didn't sound good. I mean, I'm not hearing any time frame, but
I'm
don't
thinking-
look for him
I'm
anytime
thinking all
soon.
year.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll even see him again with his injury. I mean, he's had a tough time with his prior injuries.
He's always been
This
interesting.
didn't look good.
Caller, you still there? Hello?
yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought we lost you.
that
No,
Do you think they're all
I'm kinda
done,
curious
Caller?
what other moves we might make? Maybe a little bullpen help. That Kayla, whatever his name is from Texas, their closer is available. Or they have a couple late inning pitchers that are available. I've been reading the couple guys with the taggers, late inning guys, obviously are available. But I was more worried about our starting pitching than I was our bullpen. So, if we could grab. Oh, let me stop a minute. Where's our knuckleballer?
he's
Yeah,
on the DL, isn't
I guess he was.
Stephen Wright. I was
Yeah,
gonna,
that's what I'm talking about,
yeah.
right?
Where is he, Duke?
Yeah, I guess
on the
I guess
DL.
he's doing DL. He hurt.
What did he hurt?
I think the same ankle or leg that he
That's
had
right.
knocked him out for about a year.
he? That's right.
Oh,
I haven't even seen his name mentioned
Yep.
lately.
I'm sure he's on
Yeah, I
the
kind of
DL.
forgot
At
about
the end
Stephen
of the
Wright.
year, they've got a kind of clean house here with our pitching. Pomerantz is on his walk here. He'll be gone. So, we've got to see what we have and what we don't have. I still would like one more starter if we can, get somebody in their contract here. We still got to remember we've got to match up against Houston's pitching staff. So,
The best.
like I say, another good starter would
luck.
certainly help out. We have, obviously, with Chris Sale, a great number 1 starter. And, arguably we have about 3 number 3 and 4 starters. So if we somehow could pull off a good trade and get a number 2 or a very close to number 2 starter, it would be real good.
Caller,
Don't hold your
Let me
breath.
throw this name out at you from the Texas Rangers. Not having a good year, but he's had a great career. It's Cole Hamels. I think he's available.
He is for about 18 million
Can
bucks.
I give you a quick injury update? You just sent this is from courtesy of the Boston Herald. On the pitching front, Stephen Wright, knee, is still in a down period
Yeah.
and is yet to do any baseball activities. And the Sox should know more about Eduardo Rodriguez, ankle, sometime next week after his walking boot comes off. Boy, don't
know.
hold your breath on any of these guys. And Dustin Pedroia
Yeah.
sounds like he's lost
Gone
in
for that.
Florida.
Yeah.
Caller, let me ask you a question. Are you satisfied with your third baseman, or might you be inclined to use him for another starter?
I'm not a big fan of our third baseman. I want Mike Moustakas.
Well, the only
He's very available, and that's my personal opinion only. But I like how he plays defense. I like how he hits. And you got to realize. I look back now. This is probably the best team we have had in quite some time. And I would make what moves I would have to make this year to win the World Series.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's no question. You got to strike while the iron is hot, and you do. And I mean, if you have to trade Devers away for somebody, a good starter, I would do it. I know.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
You hate to give up on a 21-year-old player, and it's easy to say, well, we're going to win 110 ball games this year.
Yep.
And if we don't win it this year, Houston's going to be a tough team to get through. We'll be around next year. It's always easy to say that, but it just never turns out to be that way.
I don't get the sense the Red Sox want to move him, but boy, 20 years he's had some tough times defensively, and hitting's been spotty. But
Defensively
still,
and head.
yeah.
He,
But again, he didn't not like the guy had a long minor league career. I mean, I think they got him.
No,
I mean,
listen,
they're paying a price in a way
he's
for
got a
getting him
good
up so
career.
early.
that's right. I agree with you, Richard.
Nobody's putting him down. He's a good player.
Yeah.
And having said that, what I'm saying is he's very good trade bait.
Yeah.
If he
Probably
was
right.
a nothing, you'd never peddle him.
Yeah.
He would be a very good player to Kansas City. They're a low-budget team.
Yep.
They're rebuilding. They've got a lot of youngsters on the team, and he would be a perfect fit. Now, Moustakas, he's on his walk here. He'll be gone. And what better fit would it be for Kansas City to get Devers?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a match made in heaven. You know, the kid's making what's minimum, 500,000-600,000.
Yeah, nothing.
Good bat, good home run hitter. I mean, you know, like I say, I'm not putting the kid down, but if I can upgrade in any way this year for that World Series, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Although the Red Sox are spending a fortune anyway, so it may be that money may be coming into play with stuff like that.
And again, I'm one of those. You got to go for it when it's right there. Again, if you know nothing about baseball, and the Sox are going to end up between 105, 110, probably closer to 105, but that's tremendous. And I don't care how good of a team they have next year, they're not going to win 105. That just doesn't
Absolutely.
happen
No.
2 years in a row.
No, it
so,
doesn't.
You know, the cards are lining up on the table right now. You have a chance. And again, I'm simplifying this. The only barrier I see for the Sox this year, and I'm serious, is Houston. If they get past Houston, and I said last week, there's nobody in the National League that puts any fear in me whatsoever.
Of course,
I'm not
I assume nothing about any series.
of course,
I'm not ready to knock out the Yankees at this point.
Oh, either am I, especially with the Rodriguez injury.
And the new acquisition
Well,
today.
The Yankees are going to have to improve their pitching staff to win.
Yeah,
Well, they did
The Yankees,
today.
their
They did,
starting pitching is not that
Yeah.
good.
The relief pitching looks unbelievable.
by midnight tonight, they should have J.A. Happ on their ball club.
Oh, is that right?
They
Looks
also
like they
picked
got
up the
him.
reliever
Well,
from
Zach
Baltimore.
They got Zach
Yeah,
Britton. Their
but
relief
the
pitching
caller is
is-
correct. They need another
Starter.
starter.
Happ doesn't impress me, but he
has
moves straight now.
He's
No,
started
Happ
out.
is on a downroll
Yeah.
skid right now.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched well.
Happ pitched the first maybe 40% of the first half of the year, if you will. He pitched very, very well. And a lot of these pitchers, once the innings start rolling up, they go the other way, and Happ has been skidding a little bit. I do not want to trade just for saying I made a trade. If you make a trade, you should better yourself. It should be a big improvement. Don't just, and I don't see that big of an improvement with getting Happ. You know, make a big move. Make something that's going to change the team, you know?
Well, if anybody can do it, the Yankees have a big
Well,
farm system.
They do. You know, I really believe that the top reliever that can be had at this point in time is the one, Bobby, you have on your roster from Toronto.
Who's that?
I just-
Osuna?
Right.
But you know
He's
what?
coming back August 5th.
But closers, there have been 4 closers traded in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, I know.
Kansas City's went to Kevin Herrera, went to Washington. Britton went to the Yankees, and there were a couple other.
I think this guy-
Brad
I
Hand
think this guy's
went
probably
to
the best
Cleveland.
out there.
Yeah,
He certainly can't be tired.
yeah.
You
but
know, if I was the Red Sox, I would, seriously talk to the Mounts about DeGrom. You know, they gave all indications that he was available, and this is the kind of trade I'm talking about. If you're going to make a trade, have an earth-shattering trade. Have a trade that's going to change the makeup of your team, and you have him your number 2 pitcher, geez, I'd be ready to take anybody in the major leagues on.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is one of our better teams, and make the moves you've got to make. That's half of the reason you have a farm system. It isn't just to bring everybody up to play. They're also trading chips.
Yeah. No, Jacob deGrom has a 1.71 ERA. Pitching for the hapless Mets, I think he's got a total of 5 victories this year.
Yeah.
deGrom,
Incredible.
But the guy is an unbelievable pitcher. He's 30 years old, and I think he has 2 years remaining after this year in his contract.
Yes, he does.
And the other kid on
Victories mean nothing with a pitcher.
yeah, and
ERA and WHIP is what makes a pitcher up.
Noel Syndergaard, he's 25 years old.
Right.
I think the Mets are open for business. And like I said, deGrom isn't, even if he continues to be this good, they're still the last place. They're even below the Marlins right now. If you can finish in last place with deGrom, okay, you can finish in last place without him. What difference does it make? Get the kids.
Good point.
And
Rebuild.
his salary is not that high.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, no.
He's not owed that much money.
No, because I just think teams like Houston, Boston, the Yankees, even Cleveland, can sit back and say, you know what? We have not only a chance, but a real legit chance to win the World Series this year. And like the caller said, you got to pull the trigger on it.
And that's why I say I'm not counting out the Yankees. Because I don't think they're done by any stretch of the
Well,
imagination.
I'll tell you what, Fitz, the trade deadline is next Tuesday night, so it's going to make a nice show next Wednesday, so we can kind of go over it. But I have my reservations about the Yankees, but I will hold them to myself.
Well, they've lost their catcher. That hurt.
Until he's out till Labor Day.
Yeah.
So
maybe longer, but there's attitude.
the Yankees, I'm from Missouri. They're going to have to show me this week if they're really serious.
They haven't looked good recently.
And what I've read, too, that their deep farm system, a lot of those people have not been playing that well this year.
Huh. I haven't heard that,
And,
Bobby.
you can have as many as you want. There's still only 9 people on the field,
Now,
if the Yankees don't trade for a good starting pitcher, they're not going to win.
Now, they didn't give up any big minor leaguer, did they, to get Britton? Is Clint Frazier didn't get traded?
No.
And
he's not part of that package.
Who's their pitcher? Is it Justice Sheffield?
Sheffield, I think, is their big minor league pitcher.
Right. And if they're going to make a trade of any substance,
going to have to get rid of
Sheffield
Sheffield.
and probably Clint Frazier will have to go.
Well, they're talking about
But,
Andron.
how many times have we heard these can't-miss prospects? I'll believe Sheffield after 10 games in a major league, You can sit back and pat your minor leaguers, but until they get to the major leagues, they're still just prospects.
Yeah. Well, the Yankees have been talking about moving Andron. What's his name? A-N-J? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for a good starter.
It's kind of funny.
3 or 4
they got beat today, and the major league should pay attention to Tampa Bay. Probably on paper, one of the worst teams in baseball, but they're 2-3 games above 500.
That's right.
And they'll have one pitch. The first pitcher go 3 innings, second pitcher go 2 innings, the third pitcher an inning, the fourth pitcher an inning, and there's not a person on this earth that can really say what their starting pitching is because nobody knows.
Yeah.
And they've been so effective this way, winning games. And if you look at the cost efficiency of that pitching staff, it's incredible, and they're winning.
Yeah, I concur because I think Kevin Cash, their manager, should be considered manager of the year because the caller said that team is nothing on paper, and he's also done a lot of openers where he would have a relief pitcher pitch the first inning, then put the starter in after. So he's and
By committee, they call
I think
that.
they stole your idea, Nighthawk.
It was my idea originally, and I know Kevin Cash's favorite show is.
I will give you credit.
Patented it. Huh?
But Kevin Cash did say, he said, listen, I'm no genius. I don't know if this is going to work, But you know what? I'm going to give it a try and see how it goes.
Right.
And I'll tell you, to
He
a
had
man,
nothing to lose.
If I would have bet you $1,000 before April 1st, Fitzy, and said the Rays will win 1,000 or play 500, you'd say, Hawk, you're an idiot. I'll take you up on that bet. But
I would have.
Yeah, them, and of course Oakland A's are phenomenal. I know Jed Lowry, they talked about a month ago trading him while they're winning big time all of a sudden. They're only a game and a half behind the Mariners for that second wild card spot.
That's right.
And that is my adopted team right now.
They're playing great
is
baseball.
the A's.
They got some young kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and their bullpen is very deep, and I believe they just picked up Edwin Jackson a little bit ago.
Yep.
Yes,
and
they
he's
did.
been pitching very well for them. And, they're another team. You get to the seventh inning there, they've been lights out. They've got a very nice team, good hitting team, and well coached. So it's exciting watching these teams that are not big market teams do so well,
Yeah. Now, caller, let me ask you about Houston. I guess we just kind of take it for granted how great they are, but do they have any holes to fill before next Tuesday?
Relief.
If you were their GM of Houston, what would you be doing?
Reliever.
Well, anybody can use a little bit of pitching. Their bullpen is solid, and as far as their lineup, they do a lot of platooning. They have a lot of bench players that come in and out. Mark Canna and some of these guys, and they do a very, very good job. They've got an outfielder. Fitzy knows this guy, Prescotti, that came out of nowhere. So this kid's been hitting very well. Chapman's been turning it on. Olson's been hitting good. And Chris Davis, spelt with a K, he's been a monster at the plate this year. So they've been hitting up and down the lineup. And what's come on this year is their starting pitching. So, you get some pitching and let your hitters do their thing, you're going to win some ball games.
Yeah, they have 3 starters for the ERAs of under 3.
Yeah, they do.
That's pretty tough.
I was very surprised this week when the rumor was that they were looking for more. They were in on the Britain deal. They're in to the last moment. And they got Rodden, whatever his name is, with 9 saves now. He's only been at it a little while. It surprised me a little bit. They were sticking their nose around looking for another reliever, another closer type reliever.
Yeah, well, the Yankees moved on Britain just to keep him away from the Red Sox and the Astros. Britt, you've got Chapman, you've got Bastance, you've got Robertson. Their 7th inning on was pretty deep, but I just think they wanted Britain to stay out of Boston and Houston is why they made the deal on him.
Could be.
Yeah.
Vikings are looking tough, caller.
Yeah, they always do. They had a great team last year, and, I don't see much of a difference this year. They should be right there.
So,
Different quarterback.
yeah. So.
Okay, I'll let you guys go. We'll let some other callers check in, and have a great night. And you look pretty good sitting there, Fitz.
Thanks,
for
caller.
calling. Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited for next week's show just because the
Well, it's-
trade deadline happens to fall on
good timing.
Tuesday night. So
But they're
So,
moving a
what
little
about
bit
your
earlier
Nats?
this year. More trades before the 31st.
Yeah.
I thought that might happen. It is.
What about your Nets? Do you have any? Boy, you're talking what, a 500 team?
they won today, and they're 1 game under 500.
1 game under.
And I'm about yay close to concede the season. I'll wait till,
So what are they looking to do before Tuesday? Anything?
just as I said last week, they're regular, very good ball players to start playing well.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper hit
Gonna
a
move Harper?
Fitz, the previous caller has talked about that. I'm trying to think, and I haven't researched it, but you tell me any contending team out there that really needs an outfielder. We know the Sox don't. We know the Yankees don't. I'm going to assume Houston doesn't. In the National League, I don't know. Outfielders
Yeah.
don't tend to be that type of player
True.
you need at the trade deadline. I do want to say this about Bryce Harper, and I know that 216 batting average sticks out like a sore thumb, as it should. But he's got 25 home runs, 59 RBIs, 80 walks. He's got a on-base percentage of 363 and throwing 8 steals. He's still a pretty good ball player.
Oh, sure.
You like that 216 to be up about 60 points. But you know what? And I don't know if we have a call, but Bryce Harper's got 110 strikeouts and about 360 at-bats. And
He's got plenty of company.
yeah.
I'm the old school. I understand that.
Hit the ball.
Hit the All-Star game and the home run contest. I want to see a major league ball player with his hat on the way it should be on, the shirt buttoned up. They wouldn't be playing for me if it wasn't going to be
Well,
that
Fitz,
way.
what does the word...
But Harper ran around looking like a clown.
We do have a
between-
call.
Oh, we do have a
We'll come
call.
back.
Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hey, this is Brendan calling. I just had a question about this summer's U.S. Open. What do you guys think about Serena Williams taking the final?
He's the tennis expert at the end.
So you mean,
I know we're a little off topic here, but
That's okay,
I had
that's
that
okay.
on my mind.
Any topic
we
is
appreciate the call. You mean Serena Williams getting to the final? In fact, she didn't win the final. She lost to Angelique Kerber, the German woman. But
Yes.
but pretty impressive. Serena had not been playing much tennis. Had her first kid. So yeah, I think Serena will be back and probably has a bunch more majors in her. So good effort by Serena for just getting to the finals. Did you watch a lot of that tournament?
Yeah, I was kind of sad actually. Venus went out in the first round because I've been rooting on Venus lately.
Yeah,
I'm hoping
Venus
she
didn't
can
last
kind
so
of
long.
get somewhere. She's been playing well.
And what about the men's side? There were some of the best matches I've ever seen on the men's side. Some great matches.
I'm actually
Great
looking forward
matches.
to going
Yeah,
up to Stowe to watch that young American, Tiafo.
And
Yeah.
John Isner had a pretty good Wimbledon
Yeah,
also.
it's right. I know. I felt bad about that. It reminded me of that Andy Roddick, Roger Federer match back a few years back. If you remember that one.
So, caller, Stowe has a tennis tourney coming up.
Indeed, I was about to mention that.
What is that? I'm not
It's
familiar
kind
with
of a
it.
minor. It's kind of a minor pro tourney, but I don't have a good handle on it. But yeah, Stowe does have a tourney
Stowe
coming
has
up
a
next
little
month.
tourney. Yeah, next month. So everybody should give it a shout or give it a check it out.
Yeah. So, caller, what piqued your curiosity for the sport of tennis?
Oh God, I grew up by living across the street from a tennis court.
Okay.
My dad would just take me across the street and bring me over to hit balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So
that
do you-
was my
Great game.
start.
So do you play tennis yourself? I trust.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Still play now. Still running tournaments to the 2014-15 Vermont Open singles champ.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
playing. I'm still playing tennis. Yeah, great sport. I wish I had played as a kid as you did. I never. I just had a few friends growing up. We were baseball kids. I just had one or two friends who played some tennis when I was a kid. But yeah, great
Yeah,
sport.
no, I've messed around with you a bit to call and play some doubles a couple times.
Oh, you played against this guy.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just doesn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. The Duke's.
Yeah, you're more than kind.
Yeah. The Duke is
No,
a
no.
pretty good athlete for his
Yeah,
age.
he is.
Yep.
He's still out there killing it.
Yeah, he's very modest, but he
Yeah,
still plays.
you're way more than kind. But hey, nice to hear some tennis talk. We don't
Yeah,
get into
so-
tennis
No,
too
that's
much.
right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't want to get off too topic.
No,
but I
that's
kinda
okay.
wanted
Hey,
to
that's
talk
fine.
about
Hey, we got
that.
U.S. Open coming up, and of course the big tourney in Montreal, which I've neglected for years, like I
Right.
neglected.
Right. Yeah.
And-
The women will be up there this year.
Oh, is that right?
Either
And the
way,
men in
who
Toronto?
cares? Yep, men are in Toronto.
So, well,
But
thanks
it
for.
was nice. It was nice talking to you guys. I'm glad you took
Same
my
here.
call.
Glad you called.
Hey, thanks for checking in. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye.
Call back. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya. Hey, appreciate the calls, folks. They're giving us a bunch of calls.
So,
today.
Fitzy, I was checking out a few former Red Sox, like Chris Sale. I guess if the season ended today, you could make a pretty convincing argument for the
Cy
Cy
Young.
Young. Of course, the Red Sox, I mean, this could end up getting the Cy Young and the MVP. But Jan Mikata, of course, he was traded to the White Sox along, and I don't know why he never gets called up. Kopech,
Kopech hasn't pitched at all this year.
He's
I'm
still in the minor
surprised, too.
leagues.
Yeah, he's
Also,
he's doing-
also for Chicago, also part of
Yeah.
that trade, right?
yeah, that's right. He's still in the
But-
minor league. He throws
but-
over 100 miles an
But
hour.
Yamakata's doing pretty good for the White Sox.
Fair. 240.
Yeah, he typifies your modern day ball player. He's a second baseman, 13 home runs, 42 RBIs. So if you get a second baseman, he'll probably hit 20, and he'll be part of the 2020 club.
Yep.
He's hitting 234, which is the way things are. But he's been out 363 times.
You're going to give me a ton of striking.
Yeah.
In his short Red Sox career, he struck out, what, like 15 straight
Yeah,
times? or something?
136,
Something like that.
136 strikeouts. He is averaging 33.5% strikeouts.
So a third
Right,
is
third.
about-
And I mentioned Harper. Harper's striking out at around and he's a veteran at a 31%
He's worse
rate.
than the guy from the Orioles, the
It's
first
just-
baseman.
It's just,
It's, I'm telling you,
but,
it's killing
you know,
me.
the caller mentioned about trading your farm system, get that established player like a Chris Sale. Well, Makata probably will turn into an all-star, but Chris Sale it's just great. And you'd make that trade 8 days a week.
He throws hard.
Yep, I certainly would.
We mentioned,
Of course, the thing with Sale is his history is just fading in the second half of the season,
Yeah.
as he did last year.
Oh, that's right.
It seems like Cora is trying to give him a little more time, making sense, especially when they're pulling him out after like 6 innings. So looks like they're trying to maybe give him a little less work and a little more rest, which certainly makes sense.
It
I am.
does. It does.
I am. The Nats are playing the Brewers, so it could just kind of pique my curiosity on some of these players. I saw Travis Shaw play the last few nights.
Yes.
Travis Shaw is having a fine career
Yes.
with the Brewers, 18 home runs, 57 RBIs. He's hitting 243. Nobody hits for average
No.
anymore, unless your name is Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts.
But he's done a nice job.
JD's hitting, what, 332,
Yeah,
330?
JD's having 2 more homers last night.
Yeah.
Your favorite pitcher, Clay Buchholz, just came off the DL. He's only pitched 8 times with the Diamondbacks. Pitched maybe 2 games last year with the Phillies until he was injured, out for the year. He's 3-1. He's got an ERA of 2.38 with a .99 ERA.
But in very
Oh,
limited action.
He's only pitched 8 games, 45 innings.
Maybe the most frustrating guy I've ever
Ever
dealt
seen.
with in my life.
Yeah.
You would think he was dying on the stem the way
Did he
he
have a
looked.
no-hitter like in his like second, third start or
Yeah.
something?
Oh, yeah.
And Duke's all-time favorite Boston Red Sox, Pablo Sandoval. He's actually playing
Useful, right?
okay with the Giants, 257, 9 home runs, 38 RBIs in a part-time.
Yeah, but third
Bases.
baseman.
Yeah, but
He's,
couldn't do it with the Red Sox, that's for sure.
that was a horrible mistake by management
So-
of the Red Sox picking that guy up.
But to
He
the
ever
Red
hit
Sox,
that
shouldn't
well?
they do better about it? And the David Pricing, I just think that's a lurking. I mean, this guy hates, from what I read, and I tend to believe Boston beat writers like Shaughnessy seem to have a pretty good handle on things. He just makes it sound like Price has like a, what did he say, like a searing hatred of Boston. I mean, should the Red Sox, should they be able to do a better job, especially with these mega contracts of folks who get here and hate? Of course, my good friend Carl Crawford comes even more instantly to mind. I mean, shouldn't they? I mean, is it that hard? I mean, shouldn't you be able to get a better sense of Boston is not for everyone, obviously.
No.
Shouldn't they be able to do a better job of determining whether someone's going to hack Boston?
in
I
or
realize
not?
it's not an exact
You would think
science,
so.
but wouldn't you think so?
General manager of the
Huck,
Red
wouldn't
Sox.
wouldn't you
Well,
think
the
so?
thing about David Price, and I'll probably answer my question, and I think it was because he was playing in Tampa, but we never heard a bad word.
No pressure, obviously.
Never
I
heard
mean,
a bad
sports-
word about David Price.
No media
Gets
pressure.
traded-
No media
zero.
pressure.
Gets traded to Toronto, does a nice job with the Jays.
Again, still
and then he
precious
comes to
little
Boston,
media pressure.
and he's turned into a real butthole. You know,
But he's still throwing well.
well, his
But, I
ERA is
mean-
over 4. I mean,
No, but
for a guy,
he's had a decent
but
season.
for a guy earning $31 million,
Except when he pitches against the Yankees. The Yankees
right.
just kill him.
They kill him.
right? But a guy earning $31 million a year should not have an ERA of over 4. We're 100+ games into the season.
And at 31 million, you would think he could cope with the Boston
I'm
people.
more-
Boston fans are tough. they're
But
They're
you know
tough,
what?
but I think they're also fair. Like, I mean, Shaughnessy's tough, but he's also one of the fairest.
Okay.
He's fair.
I think he's
But
fair.
let me
He's
tell
given,
you,
and he's gone out of his way to give
And he knows the game.
Price to give Price some slack. He's gone way out of his
Yes,
way.
he
Fitz, let me tell you how I root for a player. If David Price is earning $6 million a year, I would say to you, well, he's doing okay for $6 million.
Not at
Probably
30.
But
more-
at
more than
31
okay.
million, I look at him completely different.
Yeah.
And
But who are you blaming for that?
that was, well, I'll tell you what.
I blame both. I blame Price, but I also blame
You
the
can't
Red
blame
Sox.
Price
Right,
for taking
but-
31
right,
million.
but-
Price, yeah,
Right.
going to take what somebody gives him.
Right.
No, I don't
He-
blame him for the
he-
contract.
No, I don't either.
He had a good resume. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about
yeah, he
that.
did.
And when he signed the contract, I didn't really hem and haw about it. Scherzer had signed the previous year
Right.
for $30 million for 7 years.
Yeah.
And basically, whether Price said, well, I want $1 million more than Scherzer, or maybe inflation, 3.3% inflation, I'll give you an extra $1 million. I didn't have a problem with that. Pablo Sandoval, being a National League guy, I said to every Red Sox fan that would listen to me, I said, this guy is no better than an average ball player.
Not even average.
He was a 265 hitter, averaged 15 home runs,
Terrible at
75
third baseman.
RBIs. Okay, but the reason why he was so popular is, number one, everybody loves the fat guy. And number two, or at least I hope they do, number two is he was a megastar in the playoffs. He came to
Yes,
play.
he played well
and
with
he
the
carried-
Giants.
The Giants, won 3 World Series in 5 years?
Every other year they were
and
winning.
Every other year,
He
yeah.
carried that ball club. And the other one that we scratched our head was Hanley Ramirez.
I never got too
did,
angry
you
at
know.
that deal. But Ramirez had never been an outfielder. Never.
The left field experiment, yeah, that went well.
But Fitzy, can I tell you something? I generalize where if somebody's playing shortstop in the major leagues, I think they can play the outfield.
No.
Who is your best athlete
Not true.
from little league to major league?
Mookie
it's
made the
always-
transition
it's
pretty well,
The
but-
shortstop. The shortstop is your best athlete, and I'm
That
saying.
doesn't mean they can play outfield.
well,
But it just
Especially
doesn't
Fenway
happen.
Park.
But let me
Just
say
doesn't
this
happen
about
much,
Hanley.
though.
Hanley was not a good shortstop either. He was
No.
a horrible defensive
That's right.
shortstop. And I will tell you this, I remember very clearly when he was playing with the Marlins, one of his teammates that went anonymous said, he is just getting by with his God-gifted talent. He says, this guy is lazy, puts no work.
He hasn't signed with anybody, has he?
No, because he's getting paid
Sure, why?
He's getting paid the $18 million a year from the Red Sox.
Not everybody can play left field in Fenway Park.
I think that's an easy field. Right field is tough. Left field, there's little acreage to play, and getting the ball off the wall is
No,
not
you
that
still
tough.
have to get used to
In
the
the
ball.
corner.
But let me say this, and I agree with Duke. I think the Red Sox, and I said it before, are the smartest fans in the American League, and I think they are fair. I think they look at their players the same way I
they're
do.
fair.
You're getting paid. Oh, listen, if you're driving a Lamborghini, you want it to drive better than a Ford Escort, right? And that's the way Price's pitching is like an Escort, not the Lamborghini, the way he's been
But I'm
paid.
just, again, I think Price has had a decent year, but I'm just concerned about the Dennis Eckersley incident last year, just tainted, put a cloud over the whole season.
Yeah, it did.
I'm just worried every day about something like that
Well,
surfacing
who
again,
is
and it
worth
wouldn't
31
surprise
million?
me.
Who is worth 31
Well,
million?
Fitzy, let me ask you this.
Nobody.
I haven't seen you around.
Yeah,
I've
nobody.
been
But
bringing
again,
this
we're
up.
not knocking Price for
No, that's right.
accepting
no.
the contract.
But nobody's worth that money.
So, Fitz, last winter, the story on this show was the signings or their lack of with the free agents. You've got a guy, J.D. Martinez, who's had a nice career coming up to this season. Decent hitter.
Released by the Astros,
Yep. And Boston signs him last minute for like $22 million for I'm not sure how many years.
5, I think 5.
Okay.
Five.
But he
Okay.
may, I think he may, does he
I
have an
don't know if
opt
he
out
has an
after 2
opt-out.
years?
But
I think?
Fitz,
I think so.
Let
I
me
think he
ask you
does.
this. Has J.D. Martinez, potential MVP, certainly the best player in baseball this year, has he lowered the bar come November of, well, you look at Martinez. This guy's got 50 home runs, 135 RBIs. He's getting paid 22. I'm not going to pay more than 22, more than Martinez. So I'm saying where you expect guys to get a $30 million contract, it's probably going to be lower now. And to me, you have to judge
That
it
could-
against the best player in baseball.
That could impact that.
Martinez. Where I was telling the Duke last winter that Harper, don't worry, he will get us $400 million. But
Dream
again,
on.
the 216,
What are you down to now, Hawk?
300. I think he's going to get a paltry 300 million.
10-year 300?
Something like that.
Well, I
He's-
think
he
you're,
is
I
only,
think you're still
I think you're
high.
still
I think
high.
you're still high.
he's 25 years of age.
I mean, if his batting average doesn't show, come up quite a bit, I think you're really high.
Yeah.
That's a pretty pathetic batting
Yeah.
average.
But again,
216.
he will end up
16.
with 35 to 40 home runs.
Yeah, I mean that's
So
impressive.
90 RBIs.
But a batting average, I mean, that's pretty pathetic.
And I agree, but it's what do you do when you do hit the ball? I mean, I just mentioned some players here with 234 batting averages. I mean, the average batting average, and I
What are we
don't have
talking,
it,
240s?
248, I think, the average batting average. Fitzy, back in our day when we were younger, if you had a major leaguer hitting 248,
He sat in the bench.
he needs more seasoning.
You better be hitting it right.
They sent him back to
250,
St. Albans Giants.
And we've talked about it ad nauseum about the strikeouts. The season is going to end this year with more strikeouts than base hits.
Well, I was just going to comment on that.
I hate strikeouts are killing me.
The quality of the major leagues as we
terrible.
sit here tonight is pathetic. They're only look at the ball clubs. I mean, they don't run the bases well. They don't hit well.
Yeah.
They
We talked about bunting last week. Yeah, forget bunting.
oh, that's gone.
Forget asking someone to
That's
bunt.
a
You want me to
But they don't know how to
bunt?
run the bases either.
Today, the Nats were up 6-0. 5 of the runs were scored 4 via the walk and 1 a hits batsman. That's how bad the pitching was for Milwaukee was.
Who pitched for you guys today?
Tanner Roark pitched 8 innings, a shutout,
good
3
pitcher,
hit
good
ball,
pitcher, huh?
Yeah.
and finally a decent start. Then they brought in Sammy Solis to just finish the game out, gives up 3 runs in
Yeah.
the ninth.
No, really.
But it's been pathetic. There was a good article in the paper the other day by that guy that writes for USA.
I think I'm.
Yeah, he pointed out how pitiful most of these major league teams are. It's amazing. 219, 209, 239. These kids are hitting.
Ken, is it just old people like me? I'm not talking about anybody else here. Is it just old people like me who are concerned about this, or
No,
I've
I don't
been-
know.
I've been reading
younger
articles-
fans? Could they care
Well,
less? I mean, they're happy to see just all the homers and don't care how many
It's
times.
not only speeding up the game, the
strikeouts.
quality.
Well, Fitz, I brought up a good stat last week. The average age of a television viewer for baseball is 53. That is not good news for Major League
No, it
Baseball.
isn't. It isn't.
Guys like us will die off in the not too distant future. Are they replacements for us to sit in front of the TV set to take
No.
over? I don't know many young people.
I don't think so.
Now, this Nick Mumley, who's been sitting in for David this summer,
Yeah.
great kid.
Yes, he is.
He's one of the few people I
That
know at
hangs-
that age.
Really?
I agree.
And you know my son-in-law, Roy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when I met him for the first time, my daughter met him at college, and he was a pitcher for the college baseball
Is that right? He
team.
pitched in college?
And I said to
Southern Maine,
myself,
wasn't it? Yeah.
I said, Punky, that's unusual. You're going out with a guy that actually not only likes baseball, but plays baseball. Because, we talk about it all the time. Let's drive by Little League Field tomorrow. How many kids are going to find? Nobody. So
Why is that, in your opinion?
my opinion is the same reason, in my humble opinion, the same reason why golf is dying a slow death. Okay? It's a slow sport. Okay? You don't get instant gratification via golf or baseball. A game like basketball or hockey, football, everybody loves football. But baseball is a thinking man's sport. If I went to a hockey game with you, keep your mouth shut until the whistle blows. But baseball, we can talk in between pitches. It's a brain game. And I'd say, Fitzy, they really should be bunting right now. And you'd say, Hawk.
You and I have done that.
Right. You'd say, you're an idiot. He's sitting 297. You're not going to take the bat out of this guy's hands. Let him hit. And that's the way baseball is, a thinking man's game. And when you played, Fitzy, every pitch, you always act like the ball's coming to you so you know what is going to happen. think there's a lot of standing around in baseball. You don't really get tired playing baseball, but it's a great cerebral game.
Yep.
And,
I just
and people aren't, younger folks aren't into that stuff.
I don't for the. I've gone over and over. I watched high school baseball games. The kids are out of position. You got the shortstop playing over by second base bag. You got with a right-handed hitter up there with a whole. Why is this room?
Yeah.
Nobody's moving.
Yeah.
Nobody's moving these kids, or making them go to the right position to play the ball. The kid walks over the second base. What is this foolishness?
Fitz, let me tell you another thing.
You may be more acquainted with this than I
High
am.
school baseball, I'll just take baseball. The kids that play high school baseball, how many of them do you think that actually play summer baseball? Very few.
No,
now,
that's
I
true.
talked to a high school coach, I won't name the school, coached the girls' golf team.
Yep.
And of course, Vermont changed last year wisely from a spring sport
To fall.
to a fall sport.
Yeah, good move.
So I said to this guy, I go, oh man, that is great. You know, you're going to be getting your girls right in their prime. They're going to be at the peak performance. He goes, Rick, none of my girls play golf during the summer. They'll come out and play on the team, but they
Is that
don't
right?
play
They
during
don't
the
play in
summer.
the summer?
Yeah.
Really?
But-
They don't want to devote the time. They
You know, and you know, I will concede that perhaps there's more things to do for young people today than when we were as kids.
well, there certainly is
And,
more
You
things.
know, I know this panel here, we look like those type of people, like get off my lawn kind of people, or just back when we went to school, we walked 20 miles uphill each way.
Yeah, that's right.
However, things were pretty good back in the day when people knew how to bunt.
Well, again, it concerns me. Baseball concerns me right now. And that's why we're talking about it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it concerns me that the mechanics aren't
Yeah.
thoroughly explored of these kids. I can't understand why a coach will stand there and let a kid play so far out of position and never move him, never make the
Oh,
adjustments.
the coaches, have we just lost quality? I mean, are the
Well, the,
coaches just
some of
not
these
where they
co-
used to be?
the coaches like the kids are playing.
Well, I will
they
tell you
don't know
another
the
thing.
mechanics either.
And I only can speak for Vermont and throughout Vermont, but a lot of schools have a hard time getting coaches for any sport.
Oh, yeah, they do.
You know,
Yeah,
where a
yeah.
lot of times you get one applicant
That's right.
for the position.
Yeah, and these younger coaches were brought up with the same with the same teaching skills as the younger kids they're coaching. The kids all out of position.
And not to mention having trouble finding coaches, not to mention not like there are a ton of kids going out. I mean, MVU baseball team had that issue, weren't they?
Oh yes.
They went a few
pretty-
years
pretty
without
thin.
a JV team.
Pretty
That's right.
thin. It's not like there are tons of kids, you know,
Thin.
you're picking from.
I don't know why the kids don't enjoy baseball like we did, but there are more things to do. Of
You know,
course.
too, what I remember about baseball, you get a lot of bench time between innings.
Yeah.
When you run off the field defense and you might have made the last. Well, it's always fun talking to the guys on the bench, you know, bonding with your friends and
Yep.
stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
And I always say, you don't really remember the games you played 50 years ago, but you remember the guys that you played with and how
Well,
much
that-
fun.
Exactly. Have you watched the high school kids leave the dugout when the inning ends to go back out in the field?
They don't quite run as fast as we did.
The pitchers, in some cases, have completed their warm-up throws
that right?
before the kids are out of the dugout going to the outfield.
But I will tell you,
Well, I would have very little patience
what
for
is
that.
really popular today is the NBA. That is
Yeah.
such a hot
I know.
sport.
And isn't the NFL, even despite all the concussions, isn't
No, it
the
isn't.
NFL still, no, NFL?
I think-
I guess ratings are
think
down.
The NFL is dying a slow death
Yeah.
because all you do is you look at your future. Pop Warner football, the percentage of kids playing, there won't be a white face underneath a football helmet. in the
But I'm
NFL
just
attendance.
talking NFL. The NFL is
Well,
still
down
hanging
eight-
together
down
pretty well.
18% in
so
television
that's great.
ratings the last 2 years, and I always say any business that loses 18% over a course of 2 years
gonna be
is
around very
more
long.
than
So
likely.
ba- basketball's a hot
And
sport.
this
Yeah,
flag
it is.
Hot
issue,
big sport.
this flag issue is
College
still.
hockey.
But
What about NHL? Is how's
I think NHL. That's a good question. I think hockey fans are the most devoted fan.
Yeah.
It's extremely regionalized because if you're from Mississippi, Well, I don't think you've played much ice hockey.
Yeah.
And it really helps as a kid, whether you're good at it or not, at least you played the sport and you have a general idea what it's all about. But hockey in Canada goes without saying. But New England is strong, the northern tier of the United States, and they still get pretty good ratings.
So hockey seems to be at least holding its own,
Yeah,
at least
and I think
probably.
always will be because it's
In
not a.
spite of the officials trying to knock that sport down, I thought they were going to stop hitting in that sport a long time ago, the way they were moving.
Yeah.
They don't hit today
Well,
like they
they're-
used to
they're-
hit, and that's okay, I guess.
And
but
fights seem to be,
Yeah.
of course, fading away to
Yeah.
almost
Well, their skating ability
They're
today.
they're faster
is
skaters.
just
Impressive.
unbelievable.
Oh,
It's
they
hard
can
to
skate.
hit, which you can't catch.
They
It's-
can skate.
Yeah, and that's
So
good. Hockey seems to be
hockey
hanging
is,
in.
is doing well.
They're doing well.
Now, I brought up your old friend from Duke. He left his freshman year, Trayvon Duvel. He signed with Houston. Here's a kid, Fitz, who was projected be picked around 20th.
Right.
Like him and a bunch of other Duke players left this year after the freshman year. He dropped like a rock and didn't even get drafted in the second round. And he signed with the Houston Rockets during the Las Vegas Summer Ball.
Yes.
They didn't sign him to contract. The Milwaukee Bucks signed him to a two-way contract yesterday.
Yes.
So it sounds like he'll end up in
Well,
what,
they
the
say he
development
needs
league
work.
or something?
You're right.
I would think
the
so.
G League, like it used to be
G
the
League.
D League, but they call it the G League now.
Yeah.
I think it's Gatorade League.
Yeah.
So that's where we'll probably.
But my question to you, Duke, is,
Yeah.
boy, they said he needs work, and I'm thinking to myself,
Why?
boy, if my basketball needed work,
Yeah.
and I'm playing at Duke
You
University.
think that's the case? He got bad. I mean, obviously,
It's like who,
got bad advice from somebody.
right? Who better in this world?
Yeah.
And having Mike Krzyzewski
I assume we
work
can-
on my game.
I can assume we can assume
You
Coach
bet.
K didn't kick him out and
But
stuff.
somebody, that's the important question.
No, it
Who
sounds
gave him
like-
the advice to leave after his freshman year?
Yeah. Good question. Not one I
good
can answer,
question.
but good question.
You
Yeah,
know-
in his case, he obviously should have stayed around
Yeah.
for
You know,
another year.
For all
I would
these
have
kids
thought so.
like Kyrie Irving, that the one and done's and come out. But I mentioned the Duke, a former Duke player, Jaquil Okafor, was the second overall pick 4 years
Second
ago.
overall.
Second overall pick.
Right.
Nobody wants him. He may end up signing in China. There's a lot of these kids that they leave at 19. They might have had a good freshman year. And of course, the scouts were doing more projections. They don't have a resume to work off. We think this guy's going to be pretty good, so we're going to draft him with our 9th overall pick.
Right.
Well, they flame out because a lot of these kids actually peak at 19. Their skills won't go any higher.
Yeah, and then they
You know,
decline.
Yeah. Now,
So one and done. It sounds like
well,
another
one and done
another
is
what?
coming back,
Another one
or not one and done, but one and done is ending here.
After what? After one more year?
I think 2021.
2 more years.
Yeah.
I think.
The commissioner of basketball
Who's that?
is Adam Silver.
Who's a Dookie for
Yeah.
the record?
Oh, I didn't know.
Adam, I just
Yeah.
learned
yes.
that fairly recently.
Okay, I didn't
Adam
know that.
Silver.
But he's understanding that this isn't doing.
This isn't
good for
working.
anybody. This is not good for college. And I'm on his case constantly.
Like
and
Nighthawk beats me up about
I'm
the
glad he's
Dukies
a
every
pacifist
week.
because any other guy would belt me. But I'm on his case.
What I tell
all
him is,
know
what
you
does he
are.
expect Coach K to do? Not, it's hard, if you're Coach K, hard
You
not
bet.
to go after the best people. But
You bet.
But Nighthawk's had some influence on me, I think. And again, it's not like everybody's a one and done. But you would think Coach K, if I'm Coach K,
boy.
you might be thinking, boy, maybe a few more second-tier guys might make a little more sense, guys who
I hate to
might hang
correct
around
him live
for a
on
couple,
the air,
3 years.
but yeah, just about everybody is. Because if you look to the top 15 draft in June, I
No,
believe
this year's even
12
crazier than
were
usual.
freshmen, 2
Yeah.
were European players,
Yeah.
and 1 might have been a sophomore.
That's right.
So, and again, it's a crapshoot. Now, certain guys, there were a couple Duke players that I really liked a lot. This Wendell Carter Jr. went to the Bulls.
Right.
And this guy is a smart kid all around. He can
be
play
a very,
everything.
very good
And Marvin
player.
Bagley can't play a lick of defense. He's going to have to learn how to play defense.
Jason
So far, he
Tatum looks
hasn't
like
had to. He doesn't have to.
Well, that's the thing, and
That's
that's what I
all-
explain to people. Marvin Bagley III, that was picked second overall, he's been a star since he was 5 years
Yeah.
old. Marvin, put the ball. We need points.
You know what he did? Yeah, I'm sure you know this. He actually got out. It looked like the Dukies were going to grab him a year down the road. He pulled off an early graduation from high
I
school.
didn't know that.
As did another
3
one
years,
of
didn't
Dookie
he?
guys, a couple, I guess, legitimately pulled it off, but it looked like he was going to be a year later. And all of a sudden, hey, come on, we welcome you to campus this fall.
Absolutely.
Bagley's 6'11", plays like he's 5'11". I can't believe. I mean, the ball handling skills these near 7-footers have. So he went to Sacramento, and he didn't care. A lot of people do not want to play in Sacramento.
That's right.
There's a former Duke player, Harry Giles.
Jay,
I forgot.
Jay, isn't it? Giles?
Yeah,
Okay,
Giles. I forgot who was injured, of course,
Right.
his 1 year at Duke.
He
for most
was
of the season.
projected. He was a big guy,
I
7-footer.
literally forgot
before
about
the
him.
season as the #1 pick.
Is he on Sacramento?
He's on
too?
Sacramento.
Yes,
Really?
yeah.
He got hurt like the second game in the season, never played again, and he probably got drafted around 9th or something like that. But Sacramento's got some young ball players.
And
there.
didn't Sacramento grab, who was the Dookie, another Dookie who was picked up in the second round? Didn't Sacramento,
Trent?
the
Gary
guard?
Trent Jr.
Yeah,
maybe?
didn't I think they might have
Maybe.
grabbed him too.
But here's my
Interesting.
problem with college basketball, and I watched very little of it. I like, again, here we go again, folks. Back in our day, Fitz, we saw, even back with a hated Duke Blue Devil team of Christian Leitner. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
that was an entertaining ball club, Bobby Hurley.
Oh,
But they played
Hurley
Four
and-
four-year players.
Okay,
You
Grant
bet,
Hill.
you bet.
Okay, that was one of the all-time great college
Very,
teams.
very
but they
good
played
team.
4 years, and you could watch them develop. You could either grow a love or a hatred for every. Duke was so highly rated because they were so hated. That was the type of team they had. But this
They
was
had
a
a
team you
team.
watched for
Yeah, it was a
4
team.
seasons,
Oh, boy.
and it just doesn't happen.
Of course, I told Hawk my best time at Duke when I was at Duke many centuries ago. It was right. I caught Vic Bubas, who was a great coach in the 50s, 60s.
Yes.
I caught his last year, a decent Duke team. He had led the Dukies to their first Final Fours against UCLA. Anyway, but the varsity team wasn't a good team. But the big treat was the freshman games for
Their
4
football
years.
program
that was
has
the
picked up.
football's
great.
come back. But in just basketball, when I was here, again, centuries ago, the
that's
most
right.
fun was watching the freshman team. The freshmen, of course, who couldn't play. Forget being drafted by the pros. They couldn't play varsity
Yeah, that's
basketball.
right.
Now, I remember, I think it was Bill Walton for UCLA. They said, Bill, who was the best center you've played against all year? He goes, Sven Nader.
They're back. His
Sven
backup.
Nader
Yeah.
was their backup center. That was probably got very little playing time, and I think he was drafted in the
He
first
did.
round.
He did log some
got
pro
a
time.
10-year
Yeah,
career.
Boy,
in the
these
NBA.
days, if you're Sven Nader today, you're making
oh,
probably
yeah.
20,
Oh, absolutely.
20 mil.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you don't start playing a Bill Walton on the bench. But again, great UCLA teams. You saw these guys for back then 3 years, because as Duke said, and I agree, freshmen back then couldn't play. And to me,
They couldn't play.
because let's be honest, they're not really real students coming in.
Give some credit to Roy Williams, who's, of course, Dukie's arch rival. But Carolina, however he's done it, I think he's gone. I think he goes after the same guys Coach K goes after.
Mm-hmm.
But Carolina's had, I don't know if it's good luck or Roy Williams
They've
or
been
whatever,
tough.
but they've been tough. But they also managed to hang on to a lot
Yes,
of their
they do.
players,
Yes, they
sometimes
do.
even for 4 years. They haven't
Yes,
had
they
a
do.
lot of one and dones.
No, they haven't.
And they've got very good players
Duke,
typically.
what's the difference between Duke's campus and
I'm sorry, the
Carolina's
distance?
campus? Miles.
Usually here 8 miles. I've done that trip hundreds of times. It might be closer to 10 or 12, but it's a lot. It's US 15 501. I know the highway intimately. A lot busier than it used to be, obviously, but yeah, say about 10 miles.
Okay. Now you spent your first 4 years at Carolina. Is that correct?
First 4 years at Duke.
At Duke.
Oh yeah, Duke.
Then you went to Carolina.
I went to journalism school at Carolina. For the record, with my good friend Bobby Heller, a very good sports writing background, we actually took a journalism course at UNC when we were at Duke. They had an exchange program, which was kind of cool.
Kind of up the road.
What's that?
Up the road you went.
Yeah, up the road, down the road, whatever.
Down the road.
But, yeah, so Duke undergraduate and Carolina graduate.
Okay. So I want to bring this up before I forget, and I told you about it. I'll bet you $1 you didn't watch it. But on PBS Monday night on American Masters,
Of course, I forgot. I didn't
Ted
catch
Williams,
that.
the greatest hitter of all time.
So great, good-
1 hour
good show.
documentary.
Splendid splinter.
Lee Monteville,
Lee Montville,
Lee-
former
yeah.
Boston Globe writer.
former Globe writer, great
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
writer.
good
Thanks,
writer.
Hawk, for telling me. Of course, I spaced out and
Ben Bradley Jr., who's now 70 years old. Of course, his dad was the head of
And
the
in fact,
Washington
Ben Bradley Jr., another former Globey writer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Very good.
Yeah. But Ted Williams, and we talked about him on the golf course the other day, and Duke was one. I think there were about 11,000 people at Fenway back in September 25th, 1960.
Yeah, I was there. I was in
Duke
Fenway.
He was there.
for the Duke's last at bat.
Thanks to my old friend who I grew up with, Mark Rossi, for confirming as much.
But
You were there.
yeah, I was there.
the first thing when you talk about Ted Williams is the 5 years he lost in military
Oh, you
service.
bet.
And one thing I did not know, I thought he was a great patriot, wanted to serve his country. He did not want to go in the service.
Oh, is that right?
He was being taunted.
They say that.
But
he
did
was
they
being-
dragged him back into Korea too?
He
even
was
after
being taunted
WW2?
during World War II about not
And then
enlisting
Korea.
because a lot of the ball players enlisted, and they just got on his case, and finally,
Oh, is
out
that
of
right?
peer pressure, he joined. Well, when Korea came about,
Yeah, what about
he was
Korea?
part of the reserve. They called him up.
Is that right?
He went to his congressman. He tried to pull
Oh,
every
really?
string possible.
Oh, really?
I don't want to go.
That's right.
So Ted Williams, he ended up with about 2,654 hits, but he essentially lost
it
5
took him
years
5 years.
of playing. And with
On
him,
prime years.
he had a lifetime
yeah,
batting
absolutely.
average of 344.
Is that
So
right?
that's about
Lifetime
1,000
average?
base hits
Wow.
stolen from him. So,
Wow.
in all honesty, I believe Babe Ruth is always
Wow.
will be the greatest, but I think Ted Williams was second
Well, he used to-
best player of all
So
time.
thanks for mentioning it. I got back, I think, late
No,
from the lake.
I did know
Good
for
program.
you.
Good program.
Ted Williams used to say the toughest thing to accomplish in sports is to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball moving.
Yep. Now, if you
Yeah,
missed
that's
that show,
what they say.
Duke, it's being repeated, and I'll give you the times because they're being repeated like 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. But Saturday,
As in this coming Saturday?
Vermont Public Service Broadcasting, whatever, on channel 733. It'll be on at 10 a.m.
You're talking Saturday morning
this upcoming, or 4 p.m.
or 4 p.m.?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Splendid
Hawk.
Splinter.
Yeah.
Sorry not to
yeah.
take
And that was
better
a
note
really
of
good
that.
show. Sometimes you think you know everything about somebody, but I actually learned
But that's
some
interesting. So
stuff.
they did have to drag him. So he wasn't the first guy in line to get
No.
to go off to
Yeah.
the war.
No, he
But
wasn't.
that said, 5 years.
He
is
wasn't.
un-
He
is
And they
un-
talked about his, and I'm being polite, his gruff personality.
Oh, he-
Just kind of an F-bomb kind of guy.
He was gruff.
Married 3 times.
Wouldn't tip his hat.
Went
Right,
to
famously wouldn't tip his hat.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this like last week. I love his term for the reporters, some of whom love torturing him. Remember what that term was?
No.
The Knights of the Keyboard.
Yeah, the Knights of
And
the
folks
Keyboard.
like,
yeah.
you probably know some. Harold Case, I think, Cliff Keen.
Yeah, from the
I mean,
Globe.
some of these guys just love torturing him. I'd love
They
to have
did.
more background. Again,
They
he wasn't
did.
he wasn't the easiest guy to deal with,
Yeah.
but
No.
talk about a great player.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a great player.
Do DVR fits? When you watch TV, do DVR? Do you
Tape stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would record that. Did you see it Monday night?
No, I didn't see it.
But I would
Sucks.
DVR that.
Yeah,
just
it's
check
busy.
I
your
had
guide.
a busy week and I missed it.
All right,
Thanks, Doc, for
DVR
mentioning stuff that
and
like that
watch
to
it.
me.
But of course, the call talked about him being frozen. His Teddy Jr. kind of took over the Ted Williams business.
Yeah, what a sordid story that
and-
was.
Oh, boy.
And Teddy Jr. was kind of in it for the money. And I don't know if his head is still frozen somewhere or if his whole body is
It
frozen
was.
somewhere.
Where was it? It was
In Florida, and down on
Florida.
the west coast, a
Yeah.
little north of Tampa,
Right.
like an almost not Hermosa.
Almost.
Anyway.
Yeah, Springs.
Is that on?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
just
yeah.
a little north of
Why
Tampa.
he fished there.
Right, his favorite
He was a
fishing.
great
Right.
fishing.
And
But yeah, what a tough.
What a fisherman.
his great love
Yeah,
of
great
life
fisherman.
was fishing. If it was between baseball or fishing, it would
Yeah.
be fishing. And I didn't know this. He belongs to 2 fishing Hall of Fames.
Yes,
Oh,
he does.
is that right?
as
Yeah,
well.
that's cool.
Just a great fisherman. And they would show him, and I hate to give away the whole show, taking notes after he goes fishing. Like he would catch fish, gut them open, see what was in the fish's belly. If it was a certain fly, he would go back to his cellar.
Is that
He'd
right?
make all his own flies and make that fly
That's
for the
right.
next
He
day
did that.
fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Hawk, I'm sure they got in on the show. I think we talked about this last week. His 406 in 1941. again, going into the last game, a doubleheader, was he at?
They talked.
Wasn't he at 400?
He was at
They
399.
didn't set him down either.
Okay, so had he not played, 400 would have gone in the record books.
They did say that. I told you.
Because
no,
that's what I thought.
Right.
So he
Joe
didn't have to
Cronin,
play. He could have sat out.
He
and
could
been
have
400.
he elected to play.
But he played, and he
So he
played
did
both
play.
games.
They had
He had a
double
great day.
header final
Both.
day of the season. Joe Cronin, his manager, said, "Ted, good job.
Right.
Take a seat. Congratulations, got 400."
Right.
What the
That's
hell
what
are
I
you
thought.
talking about? I'm playing. In
That's
fact,
right.
I'm playing both games.
That's right.
That's
So
right. You
he
gotta
went out
love
And he played
that.
both
And
games.
he
did.
just went 6 for 8 in the doubleheader
Yeah.
and ended the season at 4.
So I was right. So he could have sat out and
They
hit
offered him
400.
that
Duke, you may
opportunity.
remember this.
I don't remember the
his home
1941
run.
too well.
He got the home run, 8th inning. I can't remember what inning it was, and his manager says, "Well, take a seat. Great career." He goes, "No." He went back to the outfield, and before the first pitch, he sent his sub out in the outfield so he could walk and get the standing ovation. Again, you were there.
I was
So,
there. I'd love to tell you I remember this. I don't, but I was there.
Yeah,
I don't.
Who was the pitcher?
Oh, there's no way on.
Jack Fisher.
Oh,
No, Tracy Stallo.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
The guy that gave the home run to
Yeah.
Ted Williams.
Tracy Staller, that was Roger. That was Roger
Roger-
Maris.
I think Jack.
Oh, that's right, that was
Maris
Roger
at
Maris, that's
61.
right.
I
I
could have
think it
told
was
you
Jack
that,
Fisher
honestly.
that gave
I
up the
couldn't have
last
told you that.
home run to Ted Williams.
I would love to tell you. I
Talking
don't,
about
yeah,
Fisher and
I don't
those guys, some of the guys, that Baltimore ball club is a pathetic
what a-
looking ball club, isn't it?
And Buck Showalter, our good friend Mr. Handy, not with us this summer. Mr. Handy is quick to praise Mr. Showalter all the time. I'm wondering if
Wow.
Mr. Showalter's getting a. It
I
is
know.
a horrible team, but this is a pathetic team.
This is terrible.
Can I just throw one, Ted, and I'll let you talk about what you want. Ted Williams on base percentage for career, 482.
God, 482.
Okay. And
Of course,
again-
nobody had a better eye, so obviously
well,
a ton
when
of
he
walks,
turned around and looked at the
obviously.
umpire assumed he had made a mistake.
Right.
Now,
I
the
bet.
only year he hit under 300 was a 59. He hit 254.
Is that right?
Good friend Tom
254?
Yawkey told him, "Ted, it's time to retire."
Huh.
Ted told him, and
Not
his own-
going out on
No, yeah.
254.
He said, no, I'm not finishing like that. So his last season, he played 113 games, 390 at bats. He hit 316.
Is that right? This last season? Wow.
Just it's 1 year.
Wow.
He,
That's unreal, Huck, and almost
well,
500
he had an eye
on-base
like
percentage.
nobody had an eye like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Well,
a
they
lot.
also mentioned umpires wouldn't call balls on him because they all knew Ted Williams had the best vision in the world.
He'd look back.
Yeah.
That's true. That probably helped him some. I mean, talk about a close pitch. You got to think he got a million close calls for balls.
Well, they didn't dare to call some of those pitches.
Duke, I had a doctor's appointment today at 5, so that rendered me from going down to Centennial yesterday. They had the 25-cent hot dogs.
Yeah. Did you go last night?
I might have, but I was in fact right here. I interviewed the two probate judge candidates
that's right.
right here at 5:30.
Yeah,
That's
but-
right.
But there is one
Otherwise,
more.
I might have made it.
I've got to check out the last
Lake
hot
Monsters
dog
are in
night.
town. Of course, I didn't bring the schedule from the car, but in fact, actually, they're here at least through Saturday
Did you
night.
go to the
Good
day
night.
game?
I went to the day game with my buddy Alex the
Yeah.
other day. But this Saturday night's also fireworks, post-game fireworks.
I
Saturday
will say
night.
this: I'm not a big firework guy, but
like
the
fireworks.
Lake Monsters do a nice job.
Yeah, they
I've
do.
been down there before.
They're good.
That's
Like,
Saturday
They're
night.
professional people.
But I'd like to go down to a game or two with you. There isn't much time
We got
left.
some. Yeah, let's pull off. I've just caught one game so far.
But I would like to do a hot dog night with you and put $100 on the table.
The last one, I
You'll
never.
$100 on the
You'll never
table
make it.
with the Duke, and I want a hot dog eating contest.
Hawk,
against
you think, yeah, you're serious, right? You're the last. I would no more compete with you than who's the guy who wins it every year on Coney Island?
Joy Chestnut
Right.
hits.
I
I
worked
would
with
eat.
a guy.
I might eat four. I might eat four and cost myself $1. I wouldn't consider.
Charlie's
eating
Red
more than
Hots in
four.
Burlington.
Unfortunately, the last hot dog night, of course, the schedule's in my car. You want me to run out and get it? I think it might be a Wednesday night.
Oh,
It's either that or a Monday night, which is a tennis night for me. So I will not be at hot dogs
Okay.
the last hot dog night.
I went to Charlie's Red Hots with a guy one time.
Over in Plattsburgh. That
No,
part?
no, when you were
Oh,
down
right
on
here?
Church Street.
There's a Red Hot. There's something Red Hot.
Charlie's Red Hots was on down the bottom of Church. Then his son
is
took
that
it
right?
over Mallett's Bay.
exactly.
And this guy ate 23 for lunch.
Hawk, how many? I mean, you double figures without
Oh, come on.
easy.
Don't pick
Jeez,
a
Hawk, that's
double
painful to
figures.
think about.
Of course I'd hit double
I
figures.
can no more watch this Coney Island. This
10
is
hot
insane.
dogs? That's not that tough.
How
to
many
do.
hot dog? Oh, I'm saying you would eat at least 10.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was
Hopefully
with
not
you
a whole
last
lot.
year, and I stopped at 8, and I still couldn't,
Wow.
because they were boilers or steamers.
No,
They
yeah.
weren't fried.
Yeah,
and
no,
I
they're
don't
not-
like
they're
my
not gonna
hot dog
fry- they're not gonna
because
fry 'em
they
up
just
for a
throw
quarter.
hundreds of hot dogs
Sure.
in the big boiler.
Bin, yeah.
And it doesn't taste all that good, and your burps aren't all that great. So I like them fried, but you give me a good, especially on the grill. It's like,
Oh, they're good.
Yeah.
They-
But of course,
Fenway Park is
these
the best hot
professional
dog.
We're asking him
Eaters.
about the Big O. Of course, he'd hit the great La Belle Provence on the way into the Big O every game in Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well,
Those were under a buck. Those
Right, they
weren't
were
expensive dogs.
Fitzy at
Steamers.
There were steamers.
Yeah.
I'd go to the Montreal Expo games. La Belle Province, it was kind of like a fast food place, about that much higher class.
Yeah.
They would have hot dogs for 69 cents.
Is that right, 69 cents?
69 cents. This was back,
There were
30.
50s at the Jerry Park.
Right. Now, you go to a professional
forget
ball game
Sherry
now and
Park.
pay $6 for a hot dog. So I would load up on my hot dogs. If I didn't get that, I'd get
Pre-game,
a pita,
sure.
pita poulet, was like chicken with ice sauce. It was great. So
Of course,
the
poutine.
only-
I'm sure they had poutine, too, if
Poutine.
you wanted that.
the
Yeah.
only money I spent at the Big O was, unless I had a beer, was creamy glacé mole,
good
which was a creamy. And I don't know what they do up north of the border, but they make the best creamy.
Is that right?
good.
So you said those creamies were better than what you get around
Listen,
here? Huh?
I don't know much about life.
Did you ever eat at Jerry Park?
I used
Oh,
to,
sure you did.
Yeah,
Jerry
sure
Park
did.
had good food.
yeah, yeah.
That was good. That was good.
Sherry
food.
Park was fun. Of course, they turned it into a very impressive tennis facility,
Yes, they did.
which Mr. Brendan mentioned.
You know,
That,
Fitz,
that was a fun place.
Yeah, I love Cherry. I've got good memories of.
Yeah.
and that's part of my life bitterness with the Expos leaving 10 years ago.
Yep.
As you get older, semi-retired, on a rainy day, like a day today that was threatening. I could have called you up, Fitz, and say, "What are you doing, Fitz?" And
And
say,
up we
"Nothing."
go.
Well, we have a roof over our head. Let's go up
Let's
to the
go.
ballpark.
I would.
Right?
We did that.
It was a 2:00 game. Right. And I used to go to a lot of ball games with the Duke, and that was even back in the days we'd hit double headers when they actually had scheduled double headers.
Oh,
Scheduled
yes.
double
Oh,
headers.
yeah.
Yep.
That's a quick question for you. My memory of Jerry Park, it seems like and I went to Jerry Park a fair amount of times. It seems like the starting pitcher for the Expos, every game I would get the same starting pitcher. You want to take a guess at who that was?
Rogers.
Good guess.
Can I guess?
Certainly, yes.
Steve Renko.
Nope, Steve Renko. I'll give you another. He was a southpaw.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Woody Fryman.
That's
I
right.
swear.
Woody
It seemed
Fryman, yeah.
Every game
Right.
I'd catch Woody.
Woody
but,
Fryman.
but Steve, in fact, Steve Rogers, of course, had a Vermont connection with the Guard.
Yes,
Yep.
he
He was
did.
hooked up in Winooski
He had
or
to come down here
Burlington
for guard
with
duty.
the Guard unit.
And the catcher
I
was
like Steve.
John
Buckabella.
Those
Now,
are great
Steve
names.
Rogers ended with a lifetime ERA of 3.12.
Is
He
that
was a
right?
really
Very
solid
They
good
had some
pitcher.
good ball players
Right,
on that
just,
team.
you know, that was
LeGrand
bef-
Orange.
Yep.
Of course, Rusty. We lost Rusty just within the last half year or so.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
guy.
Great ball player.
That broke my heart.
Great
My
guy.
all-time favorite athletes were Fran Tarkington, was probably my all-time favorite athlete.
Mine too.
And Rusty Staub was number 2.
Rusty,
And when they
great
traded
guy.
him to the Mets,
Wow.
it was for Ken Singleton.
Later announcer.
Alou.
He had a great career. Shortstop Tim Foley.
Wow, that's
And
impressive.
first
memory.
baseman Mike Jorgensen. All
that's right.
glove, no bat. Foley was a great glovesman, but he couldn't hit.
couldn't
But
hit.
Ken Singleton
Singleton was
had
a good hitter.
great career. Now, we traded him about 2-3 years later to the Baltimore Orioles. That probably is actually in the top 10 all-time worst trades. We traded him for Dave McNally,
Pitcher who
and old Dave
had no life
McNally,
left, right?
and Rich Coggins, who was nothing. Dave McNally.
McNally was a good pitcher.
Was
Before he landed
A
in
left-handed.
Montreal.
Before he got to Montreal.
He retired in the month of May. He was there
that-
for about 7 weeks.
Is
and
that right?
retired.
7
Yeah,
weeks?
he did.
Yeah, and Ken Singleton went on to a great career. When he got older, he was a DH
Good
for
first
the
baseman.
Orioles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another shortstop who comes to mind because he was maybe the only player player who lived in the Montreal area, Chris Spire.
Yep.
Had
Yeah.
a place up in the Laurentians. I can
That's
almost
right.
remember the town, but
Yeah.
decided, hey, I'm going to
They
be
had
part
good
of
ball-
the area.
They had good
Rodney,
ball players.
Cool Breeze, Scott. We
Yeah.
could talk old Expos
Yeah,
forever.
and of course, when Vladimir Guerrero was up there, he loved Montreal.
Yes, he
People
did.
didn't bother him. His mother lived with him. His
Right.
mother did all his cooking for him,
Yeah,
and all that. But the players loved the city of Montreal. I don't think I ever heard a former player badmouth the
Great,
city.
great city.
No.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
I think they like it.
Well, in the
Well,
old
Fitz,
days.
let me ask you right now, without thinking, yes or no? Will Montreal get a franchise?
No.
Yeah, but of
Okay,
course, you don't
okay.
have to ask me, Fritz. I'm obviously, of course, in agreement with you.
You are?
We finally talked Nighthawk some years ago about, of course, he was sure UVM football was coming back. We finally talked him out of that, but he's still hanging on to.
I'm hanging
and
on
hard.
UVM
For the
baseball
record, of
coming
course,
back.
I obviously hope you're right. Ain't happening.
Well, let me tell you this: with the politics of football now,
I should say, it
concussions,
sure seems so
I will look in the
unlikely.
camera
I
and
know.
say, Duke, I agree with you. UVM will never have football. But I remember we'd get in mild arguments.
Baseball they may have.
I would tell him,
God,
Duke.
poor baseball. They threw out baseball.
I said, Duke, I'm willing to bet you any amount of money. UVM will have football before Walmart opens up the doors.
I remember
Of course,
that.
it took Walmart about 25
Yeah, it
years
took
I
Walmart a
remember that.
while. It took
Yeah,
20
to
years.
get here.
20 years.
So
The old Expos days were fun.
it was
Jerry Park,
that was
we'd
great.
go up there and have more fun.
Yeah, that was great. The municipal pool right
Yep.
there, is a big city park there.
Yeah, yeah.
Not far from my favorite bagel place in the world, Fairmont Bagels, not too far from
That's right.
the old Jerry Park.
Oh, Jerry Park.
so. What time
Hey,
we
you
got? 10
had
minutes left.
British Open, the Open Championship might be worth a minute or
Yep.
two.
Well, yes.
And let me acknowledge, as I said on the course, I've been a pretty hard critic of Mr. Tiger Woods on this show. Just is not a nice guy. Maybe he seems to have mellowed out, but there's no way, credit Tiger, there's no way I ever thought, I'm not sure I thought he was going to win the other day, but no way I ever thought
jumped
he would,
in the first. I
he would
thought
get
he'd
back
win.
to that level. So
I thought he'd
shows
win.
you what I know.
Well, I thought
Good
he'd
job,
win.
Tiger, and his kid. His kids were there. Sounds like it was a pretty cool moment for the kids. Saw
Oh, yeah.
their dad in person play some pretty good golf.
Yes,
Now-
that's right.
The winner was Francesco Molinari,
Molinari, the
from
Surprise.
Italy, who I'd never heard
the
of.
first Italian to win a major.
Now,
that's
listen,
right.
the next
Solid
two,
guy, good guy.
Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy. Justin
Rose
Nice
is tough.
69.
Rory had that eagle. Boy, it looked like Rory was going to maybe grab it
Yes,
there.
it
late.
did.
But how consistent was McIlroy? 69, 69, 70, and 70.
Yeah.
But then you get down after McIlroy, the 4th and 5th guy, and they were actually tied for second place. Kevin Kistner, not a big name player.
he's
Not a
good
big
player,
name, but
but
a
he's
very,
he's
very
been
good
in-
player.
And the
Very
other
good
guy,
player.
who
South
I-
Carolina boy.
Alexander,
Yes, he is.
Alexander
Shoffley.
that guy I did not know.
He's played some very good golf last couple of years.
So tell me, I was busy Sunday and I didn't record it, but I was told that Tiger
was all over it.
was in the lead by a stroke
Right.
after the front 9.
Yeah,
So-
I think at 9 or 10, then 11
that's
was
right,
his
that's
horrible hole. Double bogey at 11, just really messed it up, and he
Oh, it
was
did,
kind
it did.
of
It
kind of
re-
gone after that.
It was.
But yeah, he actually had a one-stroke lead there for a
Yeah, I
while.
did.
In fact, this is Wall
Did you
Street
guys-
Journal does a good job on sport. This is their lead on the Molinari takes the British Open.
Yeah.
By the time Tiger Woods arrived at each hole Sunday, many of the fans who had pressed against the ropes, had been waiting in their spots for well over an hour. They were there to secure a glimpse of the man who would win the British Open, a man whose triumph they scarcely could have imagined mere months ago. And they did. It was Woods' playing partner. Molinari was his playing partner.
Yeah, that's right.
But no bogeys over the weekend. That's unreal. You see how windy it was Sunday?
Oh,
No bogeys. That's
tough
incredible.
place, tough.
Tough
How
golf.
many, did you guys follow the Vermont Amateur at all?
Not like
No,
you.
if it's yours, sounds like you do a great job with that. No, I didn't. You didn't.
I
Did you
think they
see?
played-
Did you go down at all?
No, I didn't go this
Yeah.
year. But of course, I watched Brian Smith grow up, you know. And,
Oh, is that so?
and,
You've known him forever.
Oh, at Champlain. Oh, yeah.
Right.
He was this big,
Wow.
and he's an incredible young man.
And a really good guy.
Oh, he's a great
Yeah.
guy.
Fitz.
He's a great guy.
Huh.
I was pleased to see Bobby Burnell play so well, and Patrick Coleman. Patrick Coleman played really,
Yeah.
really well,
Yeah.
and I just think it's a marvelous thing to watch. I
Yeah,
sat
it's
up
great.
here a couple of years ago when
Of course,
it was in Zell.
they had it up here a couple of years ago.
One kid after
Not quite
another
a
would
little
drive
bit.
number 18. They
Really?
drove 18, one right after the
Wow.
other. these kids.
The only problem with that is you have to end up putting on that
well,
nightmare green.
they didn't even lay up in front like they
Is that
should on
right?
18.
Is that right?
They, but they could hit.
Now, is Brian Smith, is he the golf pro at Jay Peak?
Well, he was.
What, he's not anymore?
No, he's a member here now.
Oh, is that right? Remember here again?
He's a
What-
member here. He
what-
represents Champlain
Okay,
as one of their.
but last I knew he was the golf pro at Jay.
He was, and then
what
he ended
happened
up. He
there?
went to work for, the company Johnson Woolen Mills, as I understand it.
Okay.
I may be wrong, but I thought it was Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
And then then you get a family. He married, had children. You don't practice as much as you used to. You don't play as much as you used to. And the first day of the Vermont Amateur really hurt him. He had a 77.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
That didn't
77.
hurt him, but then he settled down the next 2
Bob
days.
Burno, I think, had 81 first round. How did he do after that?
He consistently right in that.
Yeah.
I think he had 79 one day. Again, I stand corrected.
Yeah.
But Bobby played really, really well.
Tell you something about Bobby. I get to play tennis with him. This guy's a pretty decent tennis
He's a
player.
good athlete.
He's a fun guy. I love him.
Yeah, he's
I
a
just
great-
usually see him in the tennis court.
he's a
Great guy.
great
but
guy.
For the record, he's a pretty decent tennis player.
Yeah, he
And-
is. He's a good athlete.
And I see him, he travels
guy.
in the David Handy circle, him and his buddies, and they've been playing golf together for
They
years.
razz each
Forever.
other.
And Bob's the best golfer, or if not the best golfer at Champlain, top three. And the thing is,
He is.
you talk to him, and he's like an average Joe. He has no braggadocious
Absolutely.
about him whatsoever.
Brought up in a great
Yeah, he's a
family.
great
and-
guy. Yep, great family.
Great family, and he's just a real solid guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brian Smith's a real solid guy.
Now, I went play Jay Peak Friday.
Did you play Friday?
Boy, Hawk.
Ate me alive.
I can relate
me
only to
alive. I mean,
And
it's,
hot.
it's like dying and going to heaven. The vista there, it's just incredible.
You said the
But
fairways, the course has really come along. It's in nice shape, huh?
that was the best shape I've seen that golf course ever.
The starter used to say, "How many golf balls do you have with you?"
Well,
is that right?
I
Because you
don't want
need
to.
a ton.
Fitz, I
hear
don't
ya.
want
I've been
to say
there.
on air live how many
been there.
lost ball. I think I lost about 12 balls that day.
Yeah,
it was just.
I can relate.
Oh, I don't.
it's just-
You're not the first one.
And I stopped keeping track of my score at the halfway point. It was like it was a point of embarrassment.
I hear
And then
ya.
you lose your swing, and now it's just.
A great golf course.
But it's reasonably priced. But you know what? I saw only two people.
So nobody, huh?
Two people on the whole golf course.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, Fitz,
Really?
yeah. There were
That's
twosome
surprising.
behind us, and it's just Friday afternoon where you tend to think people leave work early. It was a gorgeous day, and nobody out there.
Who
And,
played?
my son-in-law Roy, and my stepdaughter's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had my former fresh air kid,
Yep.
Noel.
So Noel played.
He didn't play. He's in the cart, just kid from
Had a good,
Queens.
had a
Enjoying
good
it.
time.
He's 21 now, but he still comes up every summer.
Yep,
I know how
I knew
good
he was.
Rick and Donna have been to Noel. This is just, I hope the kid, and I think he does, have some appreciation for how good these people have
Oh.
treated this
I'm
guy.
sure he
What a
must.
lucky kid. Is he still here, Hawk?
He'll be leaving, flying out Saturday.
Saturday?
But
you guys have
we
been
got
great.
him at age 8. It was about that big.
Is that right?
And
So
I actually had to
13
get
years? Wow.
had to get a kid seat. He was so small.
Wow.
And he'd do the fresh air program,
Wow, what
and
a
we'd get him
lucky
a couple
kid.
weeks for the first years, then we'd get him 4 weeks. Well, he aged out of the program a few years back, so like this year
Nice young
he's
man.
going in the Army,
Is he? Oh, is
Yeah.
that right? You didn't tell me that.
and
really?
But
Wow.
last few years he'd spend the whole summer.
Yep.
Is that right? He's U.S. Army bound?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Good,
so
good, hey,
he's
good
Good
for
for
him.
him.
Yeah,
Good for him.
There were opportunities
Yeah,
around.
sounds like a pretty solid employer.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with the military.
Did you do any military
Yep.
service?
Yep.
Enlighten me.
Jarhead.
You were a Marine?
Yeah.
What year?
Wow.
Only I belonged to a reserve unit.
Okay.
Yep.
Were you drafted?
No.
Why'd you sign?
50. Bunch of us from St.
2
Albans.
minutes.
Bunch from St. Albans.
Were you drunk?
6 or 7 of us. No. No.
How old were you? Quick, I
18.
got 90 seconds left.
Wow.
18.
Okay, so you decided no college. I'm going in the Marines.
Went to school some, and then
Yeah,
the Marine Corps.
yeah. Did
But,
you enjoy it?
but didn't have a lot of active duty. Mostly reserve in the unit in Burlington.
What year was that?
50, 57, I should say, through
All
63.
right, good for you.
Yeah.
No, I just want to mention in seconds, just one other name from the Open Championship, British Open. What about Bernard Langer? This guy is
Oh, yeah.
unreal. Came in at 1 under. He finished the
Yeah.
tourney at 1 under. He's 60 for the record.
Yeah.
He's so solid.
37 wins on the Champions Tour. But this guy is, talk about solid, incredible golfer. Way to
Zeller
go,
isn't playing
Bernard.
at all anymore.
I don't
guess.
think
guess
so.
Zeller's not playing at all.
No, his
I don't think
career
so.
went down the tubes.
Well, he's got
when he
more
made
money.
that
He knows
comment.
what to do
Yeah,
with. So
exactly.
Hopefully.
So
Yeah,
one
that's
quick football note, and training camps open up tomorrow.
Wow, tomorrow.
Now, there's been a bunch of players petering in. 1 minute, I have to do this quick. The Giants drafted Sam Beal in the supplementary draft 2 weeks ago, 3rd round. He's really like a 2nd-round player. The Giants are really excited, and he academically flunked out of college, which is hard for an athlete to do.
Yeah.
Practice today, blew out his shoulder, out for the year. So that just shows you what kind of year the Giants probably will be having. So that's it. I am done with the show tonight. Fitzy, thanks for subbing in.
Thanks,
Glad to
Fitz.
be
Great
here.
job.
Always a pleasure
Glad to be
spending
here.
time with you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Duke. And for
Thanks,
Zach,
Zach.
the studio director, I am the Nighthawk. And as always, Fitzy, remember this. You don't have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. So
I
remember.
really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, well, thanks. We'll see you guys next week. Ciao.
Ciao.
See ya.